Want to stand right here? You stand where? Oh, hi. Oh gosh, your camera. Oh Lord. Am I allowed to say hi? Okay, welcome. It is 10:11, so we are a little bit late starting, but we're getting everything all set up. I'd like to take a minute to introduce you. Daisha Jones. Hi, Daisha. Hi. Daisha is a joyful educator and a professional development specialist. She's also a discovery educator guru and a program champion. She has been an educator for 20 years and absolutely loves anything to do with pedagogy. Her job involves teaching staff and students how to implement science, technology, engineering, and math into everyday instruction. Her alter ego, Dr. Drizzle, gets to wear lab coat and lead labs for 500 or more students a day and blow things up. She's hung out with people like Alton Brown and all sorts of amazing people and brought that to our classrooms. She's a huge fan of virtual field trips and Skype and Hangouts. She believes that we should inspire our students by introducing them to what they can do when they finish school. She'll share with anyone and everyone when asked, and we'll come to your school if invited. I added that. Oh, yeah. The rest she wrote with a few little ad-libs for me. We here at the Den call her the fairy grandmother, but I'm very proud to call her my friend.
Hey everyone, my name is Daisha.
Hi, Daisha.
Welcome to Virtual Field Trips. Let me give you a little bit of upfront information. We are doing a 3-in-1 virtual field trip today. So we are filming this for a school in North Carolina that's going to be watching this for their PD. I am teaching you something about virtual field trips, and we will be participating in virtual field trips in just a few moments, okay? So I'm excited to start with you. Now, because of this, there'll be things happening all during this. Brandon's helping me with sound. Marita's running this hangout, so everyone's sort of pulling together to do this. We're going to get ready to start. Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Drizzle, and I'm here today to teach you about virtual field trips. So let me put it in present mode so that will work. I have too many things going on at one time. Thank you. Move. There we go. So if you tweet out today, would you please tweet to hashtag DenSI2016 and tag me too at Daisha92 so I can use this. And this is what happens when we bring field trips into our school. All right, so all of those were pieces of a virtual field trip that we use in Durham Public Schools and now across the country. I want you to meet my friend Kayleen McCabe. Kayleen McCabe is the host of the Renegade Renovators on HGTV. Hopefully she'll be Skyping in a few minutes, but this is a virtual field trip that we did called the Shark Tank Challenge. And then she also encouraged our kids to do a STEM challenge called Tiny Houses.
Hi students, my name is Kayleen McCabe, and I am a contractor, a builder, a television host, and a huge fan of Dr. Drizzle. I'm encouraging you guys to participate in her tiny house build, meaning gather materials around your house, build a tiny house, and see also if you can put lighting into it. Now, competition ends at the end of the month, and if your house is awesome enough, you could also participate on the Shark Tank. So I hope you enjoy building, I hope you enjoy learning, and good luck in this competition.
All right, so these are the field trips that our students went on in the first month in Durham Public Schools. So what we did is we did a field trip every week for every grade level, 30 schools. So we reached 12,000 students a week in our school district, and plus we kept these online. So if you just take a look at those very quickly, and then I'm going to give you every bit of information you need to set up your own virtual field trips inside the Google Docs that we are or the collaborative docs will be all the contact information. Everyone that I've done virtually field tripped with has agreed that they will take your calls too, okay? So first of all, virtual field trips are an in-class experience to an out-of-this-event or out-of-this-world place. And mine started 20 years ago. So I was a kindergarten teacher 20 years ago, and I wanted to take my kids to China. So we had them pack up their suitcases. I taught in a rural area. They came with their suitcases. Some of them came with, bless their heart, food line bags wrapped up with belts. And they had all of their materials, and they came into the front door, and they had fifth graders there with little passports, and they got stamped. They walked into their classroom. I had chairs set up like an airplane. They got into their chairs. We had jump ropes. We tied them around their waist. Don't do that anymore. That's illegal. But we did tie them around their waist. We gave them peanuts. Again, not a good idea in this age of the time. But they sat there. Up on the top of the ceiling, we had PVC pipe. And we had hula hoops hung on them. And then we had shower curtains. So as soon as they were seated, we pulled the shower curtains around, and on the inside of the shower curtains there were windows and clouds and birds flying by and a Superman and things like that. And the kids watched an in-house movie. We had barf bags behind the little chairs. Everything was pretty realistic. When we pulled the curtains back, my classroom had been transformed into China. So kids got off the plane and went to different places. Now that worked amazingly for us. It was a great experience. But now with technology so close, we can do this with a touch of the button. Now this is what I think virtual field trips are. Free, equitable, they surpass poverty lines. My school district was 92% free and reduced lunch. You guys have been there before. You know that they're not equitable. But with a virtual field trip, everyone can participate. They're inspiring and they're memorable. My student in first grade went to China with me. He now teaches at a university in Beijing. So I'm not saying, but I am, hey, David, I need money. No, okay. Makes a lot of money there. So I have come up with this little thing in my head that there are 3 levels of VFTs, okay? One is sit and get. That's where you just have the Skype or Google Hangout up, an author comes, and you sit and you listen. There might be some interaction with questions, but it's just basically a sit and get trip. I'm going quickly because I have a lot of people getting ready to come in just a moment. The second one is level 2, which is interactive trips. That's when you front load them with some lessons. You give them something in the middle, and then you follow it up. So in 5th grade in North Carolina, we have to know about force and motion. So we have an amusement park called Carowinds, and they were tearing down one of our favorite roller coasters called Thunder Road. So I encouraged one of the engineers to Skype into all of the 5th grade classrooms, and he said he would. So he was walking around the new roller coaster called the Fury. And he was talking to the kids and getting excited. And then he said, okay, kids, your teachers have something for you to do. So the teachers went to the classrooms. 120 teachers pulled out a bag of pool noodles. And they would slice them lengthwise and gave them to teams of 4. And the kids had to build an element design of the roller coaster. So they were doing that, and the guy was still talking to them. And they did that, and the engineer said, that's amazing. And then he said, do you want to ride the Fury? They said, yes. So you've been on those rides before where someone has the camera and it's doing this, so the kids have their hands up in the air and they're doing this. I get a text from one of the schools and said, Dr. Drizzle, 2 of my kids just threw up. So when I say interactive, I am not kidding. These are interactive trips. And then we have that moment where someone has just called you, or you just got an email back and they said, I have 7 minutes at the airport. We were doing a STEM camp, and a student came up to me during the unconference, because I have students plan their own unconferences at these camps. He said, we need a robotics specialist. to talk to our kids. And I said, well, I'll work on that for next week. No, Dr. Drizzle, we need it in 15 minutes. So I'm tweeting desperately, and I got a message, and I was like, oh my God. I pulled everybody together, pulled it up, and will.i.am from the Black Eyed Peas came up and said, because he's a huge robotics fan, and talked to my kids for 5 minutes. That's when you shut the school down. That's when Aaron Grewell calls you back from South by Southwest EDU and says, yeah, I'll speak to your 8th graders for a few moments on Skype. So those are the ones you just shut down. Now, I want to introduce you, I hope that this is going to work, to some friends of mine. And one of my friends, I hope, is going to be online right now. Now, this is the beauty of this. Sometimes things don't always work out the way you want them to, but hopefully I'm going to speak to Emma in just a moment. If not, we're going to keep going like it just never happened, and I need someone with Yellowstone National Park experience to be ready to come on up in just a moment.
Do you have a backup plan for when it's going to get?
Yes. So what I ask for them to do is always give me a video that they send me ahead of time, and I send questions to them. So we're just going to wait and let them try to call me back in just a moment. So Yellowstone National Park is one of those amazing places that will Skype with you for absolutely free. Okay. Now, it's not just Yellowstone National Park. It is the Grand Tetons. It is the Grand Canyon. It is now Valley Forge National Park, who we have taught how to do the Skypes back and forth. This is the year of free memberships or free passes to all 4th graders in the country. Barack Obama passed this, and it's actually probably going to go through next year. That does not include teachers of 4th graders unless you adopt children. But they will come on and they will take you out to the geyser, Old Faithful, and they will let you let the kids watch it explode out there. Okay. For those of you that were in Montana, there are no bison allowed in that area, or no buffalo allowed in that area. They will talk to you about ecosystems, erosion, rocks, animals, and they are very amazing. I'm going to keep going because that's just the way we run here. But hopefully Emma will talk to you in just a minute. It is an email that I will give to you in the docs that you can call them at any time, and they will work with you. All right? So these are the past trips that we have been to in my just most recently left job during public schools. Let me tell you about 2 of them real quickly. In 1st grade, students were learning about force and motion and gravity. So the teacher said, you know, I'd really like to integrate some arts into that. So can we please go to, I don't know, the Sistine Chapel? Sure, I will find someone at the Sistine Chapel. So I made some phone calls and emails, and one of the docents there, volunteer, took us around with her iPad and showed us where the scaffolding would have been and where Michelangelo would have been laying. So the kids watched, and it was pretty interesting to them. But then the docent said, now your teachers have an activity for you. So this teacher said, students, would you please get out of your chair and get on the floor and crawl under your desk? So they crawled under their desk, and there was paper that had been taped up. And so the kids had crayons, colored pencil, whatever the teacher had, and they started drawing. And they were like, my mama doesn't let me do this at home. This is so cool. I'm writing on furniture. And in about 3 or 4 minutes, they all started complaining that their arms were killing them. And the teacher said, now we discussed a word over here on my word wall that has to do with pressure and pull. That's gravity. The gravity's pulling our arm down. So that was the connection we made. How many of you teach in a district where your principals want to tie almost everything in the world to your standards? Obviously, yes. So we have found that that works very well. Let me give you one more of our examples. We went to the Louvre. Okay, it's not the bathroom. There's this big art thing that you can go to. So again, we called an intern of a friend of a friend. Now, you can trust a friend. You can trust a friend of a friend. I am not so sure about trusting a friend of a friend of a friend. I've just had this been burned a couple times. But my friend of a friend of a friend took the iPad around the Louvre. You can't do that, guys. You're not allowed to go into you know, Picasso and take your iPad and put it right on the painting. She didn't know that, neither did we. So she was taking her iPad around, looking at all these really cool things, okay? And she was talking about how the painting was 3D, and all of a sudden you heard a couple curse words in a really nice way, and oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, and then the screen pops and falls on the floor. She's being chased out of the museum by the security guard. So I'm immediately hitting my computer, pulling plugs and going, oh my gosh, they must have had an earthquake. Then I had to explain that to people why they would have one there. But that happened. She's now an intern at the Philadelphia Art Museum, but you know, we'll go there later. So let me pull this back up. And hopefully we're going to try this again. We're now going to sit down with, let me just see if it'll happen. And then that might be better, because if it doesn't happen, Hannah?
Hi there.
How are you? Can you click your little button so we can see your face?
A little button.
The little video camera? There you go. Teachers, I would like to introduce, I'm going to try to turn this around a little bit, but I'm not.
No.
There are a lot of people in here. Okay. But this is Hannah Neuenschwader. She is from Monsanto, and she is in a cornfield right now. We've been practicing this for a couple of days. And Hannah, these are a bunch of amazing educators as we've taught, trying to learn more about virtual field trips. So if you will spend about 5 minutes telling them about your job and what you do and how they can connect with you, and then I'll tell them about the goodies that you've sent. Okay?
That sounds great. Well, how do you guys, before I really introduce myself, I just really wanted to thank you for giving the opportunity to speak with you guys today. When I heard about what y'all were doing in Chicago, teaching or learning about virtual farm trips, I just thought that was really amazing and really important in today's world. So like Daisha said, my name is Hannah Neuenschwader, and I work for Monsanto soybean production, despite the fact that I'm just doing a cornfield right now. So for those of you who don't know, Monsanto is an agriculture company that focuses on bringing forward tools that farmers can use to make their harvests more efficient and successful. So to do that, one of the things they provide is high quality seed, and that's what my job entails. Last year in the United States, farmers planted about 175 million acres worth of soybean and corn. So for companies like mine to bring that much seed forward for farmers to plant, we need help. And that's where our growers come in. So my job basically entails working with farmers in our local area who agree to grow seed for us, which means that instead of that seed being sold to an elevator where it ends up in things like animal feed, household products, other things in the food supply, all those seeds are actually sold back to our sites. So we clean them up, get all the debris out, and then repackage it. And that's stuff that we sell that's the stuff that we sell for our farmers in the next year. So to give you an idea of how that those seeds and those plants multiply, my soybean site produces about 56,000 acres worth of beans every summer. That's enough to plant 2 million acres in the following year. But there's not a lot of beans in the summer, just pretty much especially to make sure the fields are healthy. But in corn, it's a lot more intensively managed, which is why I'm in the cornfield this summer. We do something called detasseling for our corn production, and basically what we're doing is we're breeding two inbred varieties of corn together to create a hybrid, which is what we'll sell the next year. So I don't know if you can tell about this corn is kind of chopped off, and there's tall ones right there. The tall rows are going to be the male rows. So the male, the male portion of the corn plant is this tassel right here. They call it what you guys would call it with consecutive teeth, these silks, which is the female portion of the corn plant. So to make sure that we're breeding these plants correctly, we have to take the tadpoles off the females, and that's what we do here. So there's machines that come through, and they'll cut them mechanically, and then we have people that walk through and actually pull the tassels out by hand. That way we can make sure that only the male pollen is getting to the female flower. So that's probably way more than you guys ever wanted to know. But this stuff really excites me, and I think that something that we all share in common here is a passion for education. And for me, that passion comes in teaching people about agriculture. So that's one of the reasons I was really excited to talk to you guys today, because I can see a clear benefit in bringing virtual farm tours to your classrooms. I've learned since working in agriculture that a lot of people don't know where their food comes from. And I think it's important for people to know why farmers make the decisions that they do to produce the food the way they do it. So obviously virtual farm trips are a great way for you guys to do that. Bring kids out to the farms and see how their food is made.
Hannah, that is wonderful. And something that I just came to my head for the kids that live in the city, our urban kids, even having a couple stalks of corn in the classroom. While she's talking about that the kids can be pulling on the corn, because a lot of our kids don't know the farm to table piece, and they would want to know. Also, that there's a lot of engineering that goes on in your business. Now, Hannah, you've prepared something for these teachers. Can you tell them what it is, and then I'll let them have the secret?
Yeah, so what I wanted to be able to offer you guys today was kind of two levels of things. On one hand, Monsanto offers some great educational resources for teachers. We have things like STEM videos on Vimeo, which help. They're kind of activities. We can do like strawberry DNA extraction, garden in a glove, ecosystem in a bottle, things like that. And then we also have a Roundup Ready biotech soybean kit, which has several modules in the lesson plan that range from running a PCR and finding the actual Roundup Ready gene in our soybeans, to just measuring the growth differences between a GMO and a conventional soybean plant. And also one thing I just learned about at our Monument Learning Center here in Illinois, we have something called the Farming Fantasy Challenge, which is kind of like fantasy football, loosely. So it offers kids the chance to make 6 key decisions about how a plot of corn will be grown. And then the Learning Center will actually go plant those plots according to the kids' specifications, and they'll get to see what their decisions lead to, and these are things that farmers have to do every day. And second of all, or lastly, I just offer myself as a resource. I have hundreds of contacts in agriculture, the technology, and social media. I actually have one friend right now who is traveling all 50 states to blog about agriculture. So I'm pretty confident that no matter where you guys are located or what area of expertise you're looking for, I can help connect you with people that would be willing to help you guys. So reach out to me on Twitter. That's probably the best way to contact me. But my email is also in that document that Daisha is talking about.
So thank you, Hannah. So in the document that we'll drop into the collaborative docs, there's going to be a lot of those lessons and Vimeos, which I thought was very kind of her to pull together. So Hannah, I want you to do something for me. Can you just introduce your name one more time, just your first name?
Hannah.
Hi, Hannah. So that's something weird we do here, and just makes us all feel part of it. But we are very happy that you came in today. I know people were taking notes and taking pictures, and I'm sure they're going to be reaching out to you. By this afternoon, you're going to have 50 new Twitter accounts or new Twitter friends. So thank you very much, Hannah. Thanks for being in the cornfield. I feel like I'm watching an episode of Hee Haw. But I really appreciate it. And I'll see you soon. Oh, I'll see you soon. Okay?
Oh.
Thanks so much. Everybody. See you soon.
Do you ever get people who are not good? Like,
Yeah. So
she's adorable and I love her, but I have definitely had guest speakers in the classroom and I'm like, look at them all now.
yeah. So I bet them, and that's a good time when the plug falls out of the computer and go, oh my gosh, something happened. But yeah, I do a lot of vetting beforehand. I do test Skype calls, I do talking, I do Twitter, and we have conversations first. So yeah, that does happen every once in a while. I have had a Olympic star, I'll tell you who it's not in a minute, and he was like, and when they put the medal around me, God bless, I was, oh no, you can't say that. There was another word besides bless. But I want to talk to you about the feed of that for a moment. First of all, she's in a cornfield, okay? And she is hot spotting off of a little wireless. And I'm also hot spotting today. So you're going to have those points. But, you know, that's a great time to be transparent with your kids and say that we're talking over miles and miles and miles. And, okay, so we're going to go ahead and go to the next person. Guys, I'm so excited about this. This is Colin O'Brady. He has just won the huge award where you climb the highest mountain on every continent. He was on CBS Sunday Morning a while back. My husband said, Daisha, you need to contact him. I did, and he called me. So we're actually doing a virtual field trip together. I'm going to be with him in the fall. I'll let you know when that is. But let's go ahead and call Colin right now. He's in Hawaii. So this is 5:37.
We should take him on a virtual field trip for our
Hey, Colin, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm great. I'm also awestruck that you're here. Oh, I love you. So, Colin, I would turn the computer around, but I've got too many cords on it. But just trust me, there's a lot of educators in here that are real excited to meet you. A lot of girls are flirting right now. They're doing their hair. But we know you're engaged. It's good. But, Colin, this is a group of educators. We're in Chicago, Illinois, like we talked before, and they are excited about the possibility of virtual field trips, bringing people like you who are famous, but in a great role model way to their classroom. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself, and if you will tell them what you've done. I didn't let them know you were coming, so when I just said it, they were like, woo! Okay, isn't that great? So if you'll go ahead and talk to us where you are, what you do, and then we'll ask some questions.
Well, forgive me, it's a little bit dark where I am because I'm actually in Hawaii at the moment, so the sun's still coming up over here. But it's a little different from where I've been the last 6 months or so. But I've been, I recently set a world record for climbing the tallest mountain on each of the 7 continents, as well as doing thank you. And you know, the huge inspiration for me behind my project and what I did out there in the mountains was about, you know, getting kids active and inspired to see the outdoors. And so much of my focus throughout my project was to, you know, tell the story in real time as best as I can, do as much social media as I can so that the kids could follow along in a virtual way, as well as I did a bunch of school speaking before and hope to do a lot more after this year to continue to help inspire with that message. So that's sort of a quick rundown of what I've done recently.
So will you just introduce yourself, just your first name one more time?
Colin O'Brady.
Hi, Colin. We're a strange group of people. We're a strange group of people here in Chicago. We are all educators. We're with the Discovery Education Network, a family, and we do that very often. We yell hi. It's very strange and creepy, but now you're part of the family. Colin, I know that we're going to do a virtual field trip together in the fall with a bunch of students. But would you just tell us maybe your one most harrowing experience? I imagine there were 7, because there were 7 places you climbed. And maybe one of your most harrowing experiences.
I think one of the hardest things for me was climbing Mount Everest. So one of the biggest challenges of this entire project was that I had to go from mountain to mountain to mountain without any breaks in between. So by the time I got to Mount Everest, I'd been out climbing mountains for over 100 days at this point. You know, my big goal was Everest was one of the biggest ones, things I dreamed about so long, and I got up very near the summit, above 26,000 feet, and I got caught out in a massive storm, and so I had to spend the night out in really bad weather, up really high, about -40 temperature, 50, 60 mile per hour winds, pretty scary. And the hardest thing was that I actually had to make the decision to go all the way back down, turn around, do the safe thing, and go back down. And that was a really scary and also emotionally challenging time for myself, having put so much energy into setting this record and having this big goal right in front of me. And going back down meant, you know, I might not be able to achieve it, but a testament to sort of the ethos of never giving up and the importance of sort of believing in yourself and setting big goals. was that 4 days later, I was able to sort of summon the energy to go back up, make it all the way to the summit of Everest, and then a week later, summit Denali and set the record.
Excellent. So why do you do this? Why do you climb all those mountains? What's doing this for you?
You know, for me, this is a culmination of 25 years. I'm 31 years old, but started swimming when I was 5 years old. And to me, this has been a culmination of a lifelong love of sports and really pushing my body. But I don't think it's just about sports. For me, it's become about so much more. My family my dad's an organic farmer here in Hawaii. That's why I'm here in Hawaii right now. And my mother and stepfather are natural foods grocers. So sort of health and fitness and healthy eating has been a huge part of my life. But I've also always loved to embrace the challenge of pushing my body to extremes and sort of seeing what we were capable of. So 9 years ago, I was severely burned in a fire, and I was actually spent 3 months in a hospital in Thailand being told that I may never walk again, really bad, hard time in my life. But I was determined in that moment to overcome the odds, to fight back, fight against this diagnosis that said I may never walk again normally. And I did just that. I set myself this big goal when I was in there to complete a triathlon, something I've never had done before. I'd been a swimmer through college, but I'd never biked or run with any sort of competitive level. And while I was being told I may never walk again, that's what I focused on through my recovery. So it was 18 months later that I actually moved to Chicago, where you guys are right now. I was just out of college. I was trading commodities there, and trained for the Chicago Triathlon. That was my big goal, and surprised the heck out of myself when not only did I complete that race, which was my big goal, just to get from the start line to the finish line, but I actually won the entire Chicago Triathlon that year in 2009.
Let me explain this.
It for me on a personal level, but it was also an amazing moment in a larger scale to just show that anything is possible when you put your mind to it. So having that come after such a dark moment was really amazing and special for me. So I continue to want to thrive in that way. Well, look at everyone, so many people in the crowd.
So we have another weird thing that we do. We give people the finger, and it's not what you think. We take our pointer finger, and when we really are inspired by someone, we do this. Woo! So real quickly, I told you this before, but I was watching CBS Sunday Morning. You guys were on there. I watched you Skype back and forth with your, I guess, girlfriend at the time, and knew that we had to connect with you because our students need to hear stories like this. And we are so excited to connect with you again in the fall. But these educators right here are also excited for just what you do and what you bring to the table for our students, not only to get them to have healthy lifestyles, but to make a difference. A lot of our kids are coming from poverty, things that they don't think they're going to get out of. So we just are so excited. Does anyone have a question for Colin while we're here? Okay, yes. So when did you start? Yes, you said when did you start your journey on this for the 7 summits?
So my project is called Beyond 72. For anyone who's interested, you can look at the website. It's called beyond72.com. But I started this, the journey itself started, I left on Christmas Day and got back on June 1st. So it was just about the first 5 months of this year. But really, it started long before that. So Jen and I dreamed this up in 2014, and it took us over a year to plan it all and get sponsors on board and make our charitable partnerships and all this sort of stuff. So it was a long process, but the journey itself actually started basically January 1st through the rest of this year.
Colin, thank you so much for dropping in today. We'll touch base real soon to get our virtual field trip set up. These teachers are amazed at you and hoping to make contact with you also, so I will get some contact information to them. So thank you for getting up early. I hate that you're having to be in Hawaii right now. That's, bless your heart. But thanks again.
Thank you so much for having me. And like I said, the inspiration behind this project was, one, to push myself in a significant way, but the greater inspiration was really about the kids and getting the kids excited about whether that's being outside, being active, setting goals, and hopefully I can be a role model in that space. So please reach out directly to me through my website or Dacia, and hopefully we do some virtual field trips. I'm also hoping to do some more school speaking around the country this year as I travel around. But it's been, last thing I'll say was that the interchange and interplay between this platform and this digital space has been incredible for me. I set out on this journey thinking I'd like to inspire some kids while doing this. And as the media attention grew, thousands of kids all around this country were following along. And in those dark moments, like I said, on Everest, when I didn't know if I could make it, I ended up getting all these videos and letters sent to Jenna, videos that she could share for me from the classrooms. And one of the things that really stood out was a number of classrooms put together this project called What's My Everest? And so they sent me these small video clips, and this is, hundreds of, elementary school kids saying, my Everest is to, ride my bike to school every day so I can be more healthy. Or my Everest is to study really hard so I can be the very first person in my family to graduate from college. And in the end, they inspired me maybe even more than I inspired them. Just hearing them, put those goals and understand the metaphor that I was trying to convey to them was just so special and really, kept me going in those hard times for myself. So it was a beautiful way to interact, and I hope to continue to do a lot more of it. So thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. We'll talk soon, okay? All right, bye-bye. Okay, so guys, that can happen right in your classroom. So let me tell you really quick how we do this and how I did this and how I'm continuing to do this. So in school settings, we talk about what we need to teach, what our standards are, and then we talk about where we possibly would want to go. Let me put this back up real quickly. And teachers get together, they decide what the levels are, and then they come up with the field trips they'd like to visit. So this is a second grade next generation science standards. This is the life cycles and animals is what they needed to teach, and this is where they wanted to visit. And I will tell you that 95% of the people we ask say yes. And I don't ask them, or they don't ask me for money. If they do, I just say, I don't have any. And they say, okay. But this is the places that we've gone. Now, Galapagos Island was very hard for us to do because we had someone there that was sort of streaming back. So time differences are really rough. I have talked to Cindy Moss, though, and we're ready to go back. So we're going to do this trip together. And so we can set up a nice virtual field trip there from Galapagos Islands, because that's the only place you're going to find those. The other thing I want to share is in your room, if you start to do this virtual field trips, I would encourage you to map it out. We use all types of map. The best thing we use, though, is something called Thing Link.
Yes.
Thing Link. And so it's a map, and you can pull up any map or any kind of thing you want to pull up, and then you can link where you've gone. So we have, it's behind closed walls right now, but I'm getting ready to release it, a map of every place we've gone in the last 2 years. And when you click on that, you're going to see a little excerpt from the virtual field trip. But that's a great way for you to have some formative assessment in your classroom where kids can go up and click on one of the things and then talk to the class about what they learned. What was their AEIOU? What was their 6-word story, which is spotlight on strategy about where they went. So mapping is really important. The way to make connections is just to search and ask, okay? I'm going to give you my presentation, so you're going to have this whole thing for Google Slides. I encourage you to make it your own. Go out and share this with the world, because I think for right now, this is a great way of teaching and learning and making connections for a lot of our kids that may not be able to make those connections themselves. Notice that I put friends of friends. I didn't do friends again. Student parents are great ways to make connections, and the Chamber of Commerce is also a good way to make connections. I use social media a lot. I'm a procrastinator, so when I had 12,000 students and 1,650 teachers, and I was doing virtual field trips, and that my job was not virtual field trips. I was the STEM director, STEM and science director. But in my side job at night from 12 to 3, I set up virtual field trips, okay? And social media is what I used a lot of. So I needed someone that could talk to kids about really pumping up their spirits and talk about not giving up. So I searched out for an Olympic star that was clean, okay? And I know I'm not trying to say that funny, but sometimes, they have they are not as clean. And I needed someone that would be in my time zone that would talk to me tomorrow morning. Okay, so I found and received Manteo Mitchell. Manteo Mitchell's from North Carolina. He's a young man who raced in the 2012 Summer Olympics. He was the guy on the U.S. track and field team that ran and his leg broke while he was running. I'm sure you remember that. It was this bone up here, so it was a very freaky thing, but he kept running. Leanne, you'll appreciate that, I'm sure, but he kept running. He finished the race and advanced his team to the finals, and they took home the gold. So when I found out, he said, absolutely. I said, now on Twitter, you have to follow someone and they have to follow you back to get that messaging thing to sort of go. But if they don't follow you back, they can open up so that you can private message them. And that's how we found out that he was only 4 hours from me. He had graduated from the school my daughter did. So Manteo Mitchell comes up in this screen in front of 700 kids of very high poverty. And he told them that he was a product of a single mom, that they lived in poverty. They didn't know where their next meal was coming from. Mom worked 3 jobs, and that track and field was what gave him a new life. And he showed his little medal up there. And when he was finished, we all clapped, and the teachers were crying, and the kids weren't crying, but they were just thrilled to see an Olympic star. He said, hey, Dr. Drizzle, I can introduce you to some friends of mine. And I said, okay. He said, I'll call Christy and Michael. And I went, okay, so Christy Yamaguchi, who's an older person for us, whose husband was a player for the Carolina Hurricanes, so I got a double duo there, and Michael Phelps. Now, to be fair, this was before his DWIs, but he would be a great now because he's going back. Okay, so those are the places that I was able to do that. Now, after the event, I can't overemphasize this enough. Thank your guests, okay? I do cards. The best way to do this, though, is to open up a Padlet and have kids type into the Padlet and put pictures and then send the person your link. And they really can get inspired by that. I also do a lot of social media, okay, unless they tell you you can't. So I've had a few people, a very prominent sitcom person who is doing some stuff for me and is asking that we not put it out on social media. And I'll give you a little reason why for a moment. And then we do thank you notes also. After it's over, after the experience has happened, this is what happens, okay? The best thing that I love is that I've created a district virtual field trip advisor. So kids can go on there and rate the trips and tell how they did. So we're working right now with a bigger platform to try to get it to ping all over the world when these different virtual field trips come up. We have recordos, digital scrapbooks. We have some schools that do the old-fashioned large scrapbooks. They make them on those binding machines, but I think they're amazing. So kids are writing postcards and doing pictures.
What is the website for your district trip advisor?
I'm going to open that up. I just left the district, so I'm having to, yeah. I will get that to you. So first of all, when you're starting out, Discovery already has great ones. Kyle Shutt will be giving another presentation on virtual field trips, all based on what Discovery has to offer. You need to go there. We talked about this. We wanted 2 different ones that you can plan, and then sometimes when you're just starting out, you have to go get what's already out there. Create your own itinerary.
I would encourage you to, if I don't remind you, challenge us. Where do you want to go?
Yeah.
Where do you want us to take your kids?
An Egyptian tomb.
Okay.
Yeah. So make sure you
challenge us and let Kyle know, and we can see what magic we can make happen too. So.
don't pay for anything. Share out. There's lots of resources. Let me give you 2 more pieces of information. Nobody says no. Okay. How many of you know Alton Brown?
Yeah.
Alton Brown's a Food Channel network. He had a big tour this year. He does it every year. He's the creator of Good Eats on the Food Channel. I reached out to him. They went through several thousand emails and chose mine. He came to my school. One of my schools, a very high poverty school, the day before his nighttime 2 shows of sellouts in our Durham Performing Arts Center, and did a full show. Now I'm on YouTube, Daisha Jones. There's 2 of us. One's naked. The second one is not me. Okay. She gives me street cred though. She looks good. Okay. I mean, not that I needed to. Okay. Stop. Daisha Jones. And then within Daisha Jones, I'm releasing virtual field trips. There's a Dr. Drizzle channel on there. So we're releasing them as we go. You're going to find them from very crude technology to getting much, much better, okay? At the very beginning, we were just using a phone to do this. I've enjoyed having you. And any questions before I let you go? I know that's a lot poured into it, but I wanted to try a multi-layered virtual field trip of doing it. And I want to go ahead and end this one because I want to talk about it. So thank you guys for coming. I will see you in about 3 weeks. Not you. I'll see you guys in about 3 weeks. And Dr. Drizzle out. So one of the newest things I'm doing is virtual field trips to the Department of Juvenile Justice. So I'm getting to go into prisons and work with kids. Now, because we do that, the people that are virtually Skyping in are pretty famous people.